Hi everyone, Angus Campbell here. Saturday the 9th of November, I think. Back onto the A70 Lightning behind me, and we've just got a few itsy bitsy jobs to sort out today, and to also do a bit of a follow up on the last video where we were thinking about the fitting of the chain guard, but also the conundrum around the chain being too short at 110 pitches. So let's get you set up and we'll go into those. Okay, at the bike here you can see the chain guard now fits. We've got the front mounting bolt in there, which actually goes all the way through to the other side and screws into a captive nut on the chain guard. So we have a spring washer behind that to hold that in place. And at the back, the loop at the moment is just sitting on the shock mounting bolt until we get a nut and a washer on that. Anyway, it's on, fits well. And what the problem was is that the rear mud guard is the other side of the chain guard. And going back to one of the earlier videos, we were complaining about the fact that this new pattern mud guard was a pretty poor fit, and in fact it needed bending inwards a little more so the chain guard could clear it. It was just a little too wide. It had already been flattened off to a certain extent to allow for the chain guard, but not enough. So now that fits well, and also the chain guard fits inside the engine castings, and it's difficult to see there, but there is a gap there for to allow the chain guard obviously to go up and down with a swinging arm without catching the engine. So that's one thing done. Next thing, we were thinking about why this standard length chain was several pitches too short. It's 110 pitches, which is the correct length. On the A70 Lightning, it has a 21 tooth front sprocket rather than an A65 standard sprocket, which is 20. So yeah, that would take up a little bit of chain length, but that should be adjustable at the back end here. There's plenty of adjustment. So as one of my subscribers pointed out, the sprocket at the back end must be too big and looks too big, and I thought I'd counted the teeth on this before I installed it, and it was certainly the one that came off it, and was in super condition because it was actually covered in oil, and as you can see, once the oil had been removed, it had protected all the original plating very well. Well, it turns out that instead of this being a standard 47 tooth sprocket, it's 52, which, as I said in the comment, I think is only one tooth off a Hurricane sprocket, which is massive. So that means the gearing's been lowered fairly significantly, so this is going to be pretty lively. Anyway, as I've owned a Hurricane in the past with a 53 on the back, although I believe that was a 19 on the front from memory, then I think this is going to be pretty low geared. Let's have a think. So if you go bigger at the back, it lowers the gear. If you go bigger at the front, it highes the gear. So what we're going to do anyway is I've decided that we're just going to give it a run and see what this goes like. I think one of the comments was it'll make a great hill climber. Well, it might, but it's not going to be doing that. It's going to be hopefully a bit of a tourer, as well as something that I blast around the lanes with in South Leicestershire, where I live, where there's some beautiful countryside. So I think it's going to be pretty lively, but anyway, we'll give it a go, and if the gearing is too low, then it's easy enough to take the back wheel out and change that rear sprocket, because there's plenty of sizes available to fit the standard conical hub, which this is, so therefore there's lots available for all the different models that conical hub was used on, from 71 up to 74, 75, before they've been replaced with all the models have been replaced with discs, well, those that were left anyway. So we'll leave it at that. So that's those two areas addressed. What it does mean, of course, is I need to get some more chain if I haven't got any stock. I do have the tools to break and to extend chains properly. So we'll increase that chain. It's on there a bit loose at the moment, so you'll see it's about 4 links short. But if I do tighten that chain up and put it back on, it's 3 links. So I've got the tools to extend that properly and to make sure that the extension is riveted and it's not just a piece with 2 split links, because we don't want that. 1 split link's enough. So what I want to do now is just finish off the back end here before we go any further on the primary drive itself. And what I've got to do is, working on the bike from the other side, is to make sure all the rear engine bolts and rear engine plate bolts are tight. The 3 of them down here, they're much easier to get to on the other side. Front one's done. There's the stud that goes all the way through the motor and also clamps the cases. We've just got that one to do up. That's easy enough. And once we've tidied that side up, that means then we can go to this plate, which is just sitting on here at the moment. It was just put on just to test the oil seal fit. We'll actually get that fitted properly with its gaskets and its 6 countersunk screws, and then we'll have a look then at the primary drive, front sprocket, the clutch, the slipper tensioner and its adjuster, and obviously the chain itself, and see if we can get cracking on that. So that's the plan. Okay, that's all engine bolts tightened up. It looks a bit awkward. Just shine a light in there down there. There's one of them there, and a couple higher up. There's one there too. The stud that goes all the way through the frame at the bottom, and obviously the mounting point at the front. So they're all done up, so that's good. Next step was going to be to put the blanking cover, which goes down the back here and blanks off the other side of the sprocket to protect it. Let me just show you the plate. There's the plate mounted at the top just by 1 screw through that hole. There we go, and 2 at the bottom. So that sits behind the sprocket, sort of like that. However, I've just realised that we've got something else that we just need to sort out first before we do that, and that is that there is a chain oiler on this. And the way the chain oiler fits is that with respect to this screw hole for the outer cover here, that's drilled all the way through, and on the back side of that is screwed in an oiler, like a drip oiler, which is fed from, you can just see it, if I point that out to you, where are we? It's just there, a little tiny, there you go, you can see it just there, small hole which allows a little tiny bit of primary chain case oil to go out through the other side. And that, let me show you. That feeds this, which screws in to the same hole from the other side, but the bolt is a smaller diameter than the little oiling casting, so oil's able to get through and drip down here. So this has been quite clogged up. I've managed to unclog it, but I do need to get a little tiny drill bit just to make sure that's cleaned out properly rather than just probing it. There is quite a bit of crud in there, so that's been blocked up for years probably. So we've got that to fit yet before we can put the blanking plate on the back side of the sprocket. But what we can do now then is carry on working on this side, and we'll fit the sprocket cover, the inner chain case sprocket cover on this side. I just realised there's no gasket in my allegedly full engine gasket set, but I think because this plate is common with other models, I might have one in stock, so we'll just dig one out. Okay, found one loosely. I've got another full gasket set for an A65, and that hasn't got one in either, so obviously these aren't regularly supplied now, but luckily I found one in stock because the Fury has them and they're the same size. So what I'm going to do is make sure the faces are clean. We'll get some gasket cement on this and attach it to the cover, and some more gasket cement, and we'll just fit this with its 6 countersunk screws. Where are they? They're over here. Need to do a bit of tidying up on this bench. These are the tools that were out for the engine mounting bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there we are. Okay, we'll crack on with that. Okay, there we are with the gasket fitted with a thin smear of silicone sealer on each side. So it's easy enough to centre because of the oil seal. Just make sure the holes line up for the screws. Sorry, you didn't see that very well. Just a quick push on, and then in with the screws. There we go, first one in, but not tight yet. So I'll get the other 5 in. They always feel a little bit tight going through the case, but they all go through okay. So give me a couple of minutes and I'll get them all in. Okay, there we are, job done. Everything nice and flush. All the screws in nice and tight, no strip threads, and all beautifully flush. So now we'll have a quick look at other bits and pieces and start preparing the parts to go on here. It's taken a bit longer than I anticipated to get these bits and pieces done. Always the case. But let's have a look at the sprockets, the chain, the clutch. We've got the slipper tensioner, and it's adjusted to go down here too. And we'll examine those. Okay, primary drive parts. The slipper tensioner got a little bit of wear on it, but not too bad, so that's serviceable. The slipper tensioner adjusting bolt, that should have a rubber dome on the top of that. We might be able to make one up actually and glue one in. So that should be alright. Thread's good on it, the nut's good on it on the end, and it's not been butchered at the other end that sticks out of the case to allow you to adjust it externally. So that looks okay. Crankshaft sprocket, no broken teeth. The teeth are in good condition and not hooked at all. The chain, we'll have to see how the chain is once we get it fitted, but the chain looks good. It was in oil when we took this apart, so that's good. And the clutch chain wheel, that also looks good too. No broken teeth. Teeth look in good condition. So we just need to have a quick look at the plates. The push rod adjusting bolt is a little chewed, but it's not bad. I've seen a lot worse than that before. Right, I have had this apart already to check the driven and driving plates, and they're all in pretty good condition actually. The tangs on them aren't too warm at all. Still plenty of life left in those, and also the other thing to look at, which I've inspected, is that the slots in the clutch basket are fine, which they are. So I think the clutch is very serviceable. So what I'm going to do is strip this again and clean everything up, all these parts, and then what we'll do in the next video is concentrate on getting this primary drive together and in the case. I'm just thinking about anything else we'll need for this. Obviously the correct nuts and spacers for each end. There's probably spacers on this end. There's obviously the proper nut. There's also the Woodruff keys as well. We need to make sure they're in good condition. So we'll aim to do that in the next video. And just in the meantime, just let you know that other parts have been arriving. So you may remember that the kickstart return spring broke, the original one, so it's probably fatigued. So there's a brand new one there, ready for its keeper. You've seen the new gear lever, but also in the meantime there's a new kickstart arrived as well, but I need to get a cotter pin for that. So things are moving on. That's been a bit more productive today than it was last week. Got a few things sorted out. So we'll leave it there, and I'll see you again soon, probably next weekend, in the next video. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. Thanks for your interest and any comments and any subscriptions, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks a lot. Cheers. Bye-bye.